Oh. Oh. It's a bit chilly out here. It's a bit chilly. But, as the days go by, as the days go by, okay, so do you guys actually understand why the wind makes you cold? Because it's quite interesting. The wind makes you cold not because the wind is cold, but because the wind is fast. Think about it like this. Okay, I just want to tell you. I'm going to explain why the wind is cold, why the wind feels cold. Think about it like this. Everything in the world has some form of heat. Now, this form of heat, the thing is retaining that heat. Not everything, but like me, I have some form of heat, whereas a rock doesn't, because I make heat. When the wind hits your body, it's taking that heat because the wind is cold, because the wind can't retain heat. So the heat spreads to the wind. And because the wind is taking your heat, your body freezes. And your body is freezing because the wind is taking the heat, and the heat is the only thing stopping water from becoming ice. And because that wind is being taken away, your body is getting colder and the water is forming in ice, making it so it's harder to move your fingers. So I'll sum it all up. The reason for why the wind makes your body feel cold is because your body has a certain amount of heat, and then when the wind hits your body, the wind takes a certain amount of that heat because the wind doesn't have any heat, and the wind takes it because the wind is cold. So for example, if you have like a burning hot pan and you put it into the freezer, the heat from the pan is going to ooze out of it, and it's going to go and spread out in the freezer, making the pan colder. That's the same thing with the wind. When the wind hits your body, the wind is taking some of the heat, which causes the water in your hands or any part of your body to freeze, because without heat, the water is going to turn into a liquid. Into a solid. And thus making it so you feel cold and your hands and your limbs become more rigid because it's harder to move if the water in it, if the liquids in them become solid, they become solids. So I'm going to sum it up one last time. The wind feels cold because when it hits your body, it takes some of your heat, thus making you feel cold because of lack of heat, and making your limbs more rigid because the lack of heat is turning the liquids in your body into solids, making them harder to move by your muscles and bones. The more you know. Okay. I gotta think about another topic. I'll explain eclipses, and I'll explain some of my solar system knowledge. So, eclipses. Oh yeah, and if I'm wrong, just type it and I'll look it up, and because I could be wrong on some things, but I'm like 99% sure I'm right. Okay, anyway, eclipses. So, eclipses happen. An eclipse is when the sun and the moon perfectly align with Earth to the point where the moon, right, they're building something here, there's a truck, it might be hard to hear me. I don't know if you can see very well, but okay. An eclipse is when the moon and the sun and the Earth perfectly align so that the moon blocks the sun's rays. And because the moon blocks the sun's rays, then it looks like the sun is gone and like the moon is just black. The moon only looks black because no light is reaching it. The moon doesn't turn black. You probably know this, but for the people who don't, imagine a big... Okay, I'll explain what an eclipse is in 1 second. You see the sun. Wherever the sun is where you are right now, take your finger or your thumb, block one of your eyes with your thumb, and then try and look at the sun. You won't be able to because the thumb is blocking your eye. Now, the sun may be very, very big compared to your thumb, but it's all about point of view. Although the sun is many times bigger than your thumb is still able to block your eye from seeing it just because of how close it is to your eye. So that's what an eclipse is. The sun is many times greater than the moon, but because the moon is so much closer to Earth, the moon is still able to block it perfectly every 50 years, I think. I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, the moon literally blocks the sun's rays from reaching Earth, which is how an eclipse goes. So this is the sun, this is Earth, this is the sun, this is the moon. So 1, 2, 3. The moon is blocking the sun from getting rays to Earth. That's an eclipse. There's another fact that I know. Another interesting fact is that there actually isn't 365 days in a year. You may be saying, but Joseph or Titus, you may be saying, what are you talking about? We're taught in school it's 365 days every year. Well, Actually, it isn't. It's 365 days, 0.25. That's why every year we take out a day. But you might be saying that also can't be true because we don't take it out like every 4 years. Well, it's because I'll say it in simpler terms. Every year there is 365, I think it was 0.22 days, or it might be 0.24, something like that. So every year, the reason for why, I think it was February, the reason for why every 4 years they take out a day in February is because there's a little bit over 365 days per year. On top of that, if they took out a February every 4 years, then there would be a little bit under 365 days per year. So what they do is let me explain. The calendar. Every 4 years, they add a February, and I think it's like every 10 years or something, they add an extra February. Or no, I think every 4 years, they add a February because there's like 365.27 days. So they make up for that 0.27 by adding a February every year. But because it's 0.27, not 0.25, I think it's like every 8 years, the February that they're supposed to add, or like every 20 years or something, the February that they're supposed to add, they take out. So to sum it all up, there is 365.27 days. Oh, by the way, I'm just walking to school. This is my walk to school. Okay. To sum it all up, every a year is not 365 days. A year is 365.27 days. So, to make up for this, because there are 365 days in the calendar, every 4 Februaries, so every 4 years, they put in an extra day to make up for the 365.27. So they put in an extra day, and to make up for it not being a perfect 4 years, because 0.27 times 4 isn't 100. To make up for that, I think it's like every 12 years or every 16 years, something like that. On the 4-year mark that they're supposed to put in a February, they take out a February. So this explains why every 4 Februaries they may or may not put in a February or not put it in. The more you know. Oh yeah. Do y'all know how hot dogs are made? Or sausages? Hot dogs and sausages are made with horrible things. Like there's a joke, like nobody knows how the sausage gets made. Most people don't know how sausages get made. I'll explain it to you. So the what they do to make a sausage is they take a chicken and they strip the chicken out of that chicken, because the chicken out of that chicken gets used for like chicken nuggets or like something like that. And what they do is they take the chicken of it and they grind it up. Not the chicken. They take the chicken out of the chicken. And then they grind up everything else. Like the fat, the bones, the tendons. They grind all that up into a soupy mixture. Then they bake that into a sausage. So imagine taking a piece of chicken and then imagine grinding it up and then making it into like a soupy mixture. And then that's what you're eating for the sausage. That's kind of crazy. It sounds disgusting because it is disgusting. But hey, sausages taste good. So yeah, can't argue with taste. But just to say it again, this is how a sausage is made. They take the chicken and